You're young, you love each other, you both have your health.
I always read that scene as the moment Chris finally understood the fork in the road in front of him.
It's not too late to have a future, Aid. There are other options.
Up until then, Adriana talking to the feds was this abstract nightmare he could try to outrun.
You can't even sleep.
This is a lot to process, Adrian. I gotta think.
But when he sees that random guy shuffling out of the gas station, exhausted, broke, stuck with a beat-up station wagon and a life going absolutely nowhere, it hits him.
He wants to do it.
Great, when are you coming in?
A couple of more hours, we're just getting some things together.
This is the kind of regular life waiting for him if he ran off with Adriana. No glamour, no status, no escape. Just the slow suffocation of normalcy. And yeah, maybe the kid thing played into it too. He's staring down a future where even the sentimental stuff he could cling to isn't guaranteed. Meanwhile, in witness protection, he wouldn't even be able to get high, which is practically a deal breaker for him.
I love you, baby.
So while part of him loves Adriana, another part is already choosing the life and the drugs without fully admitting it. What makes the writing so sharp is that all these interpretations feel equally true. That moment works whether you see it as Chris recoiling from the mundane, realizing the future with Adriana is dead, or subconsciously picking heroin and the life over her. No wonder he breaks down afterward. He knows exactly what his choice means, even if he can't face why he made it. On rewatch, I honestly cannot find a single logical reason Adriana, or anyone with a functioning prefrontal cortex, would fall for Chris.
You can no longer function as a man.
The man has zero redeeming qualities, and yet, somehow, there they are. A great pair of characters wrapped in a completely lopsided relationship. But when you really think about where Adriana is coming from, it kind of tracks. She's gorgeous, fun, shallow in that loves the vibe more than the consequences way, and absolutely not a long-term thinker.
The song started with the chorus. There is structure.
Chris is decent looking, always had drugs, always had a certain chaotic charm, and guys like that pull in hot party girls all the time. Half the appeal is that he seems exciting, right up until he opens his mouth or does literally anything.
Take your head out of your ass, Adriana. You knew exactly what you were doing.
And yes, she's not exactly the brightest bulb. Let's not pretend. Her idea of good judgment includes discovering Richie's musical talent, the same Richie who basically turned himself into a human torch trying to fry a trout on a downed power line. Her bar for genius is low. Honestly, if a guy like Chris were into someone who looked like me, I'd probably date him too until I realized he's an asshole. But if I looked like her? Come on.
The fuck are you talking about? She's a knockout. A 10.
She's a knockout. A 10. And he's generously a 5 with lighting and distance.
Christopher, I love you very much. My only dream is that we have a happy life together.
Still, the emotional attachment sneaks up on her. It happens. She parties hard, uses heroin, drinks a ton, loves flashy things, so the lifestyle he offers checks enough boxes to keep her around. And the sad truth is she doesn't have a whole lot of prospects in that world. What's she supposed to do? Go for Mikey Palmici? Ralph? The Jersey dating pool is a swamp. Chris, for all his mediocrity, is the best bet she sees.
You knew you were damaged goods and you never fucking told me?
But you call me that.
Jesus fucking Christ, how could you lie to me like that?
Adriana's beautiful and sweet, but she's stuck in the only life she's ever known. And in that life, unfortunately, Christopher Moltisanti actually looks like an upgrade. What was Blindetto's problem anyway? I swear I must have missed a memo on my rewatch.
Rehab block had guys with broken limbs, muscle diseases, and we'd help them back.
The guy's out there trying to fly straight, gets his masseuse license, opens a legit business, probably could have started hooking up with the hot massage therapist working for him, literally stumbles onto a wad of free cash, and somehow still manages to tank his entire life.
Blindetto, how can I help?
He blows the money, crawls back to the family for dirty work, And suddenly we're supposed to buy this rapid descent? Did I blink?
It's like just the fucking regularness of life is too fucking hard for me or something. I don't...
Honestly, the simplest answer is the one the show practically spells out. He just couldn't handle the regularness of life. Throw in a dash of jealousy over Tony's status, a couple kids to feed, plus the bonus mystery offspring, and that shiny ball of easy money rolling his way, and boom, downhill.
Shit, you'll be known as a blundetto. To the blundetto!
And look, I love this show, adore it, but Tony B's arc, it was rushed, no question. They clearly needed a few more episodes to make his slide feel earned. If I had to guess, Feech's abrupt exit, totally unplanned, scrambled their original structure.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Same thing happens later with Chasing It, a whole avalanche of plot crammed into a handful of breadcrumbs. Originally, Tony B was supposed to have a full 2-season arc, but then Robert Loggia started having trouble remembering his lines, and suddenly the writers were shuffling storylines like a blackjack dealer. So Chase just made things work, or kinda worked, or worked enough that nobody would riot. So yeah, great show, legendary show, but even the best can trip over their own pacing when they're juggling actors, arcs, and studio demands. Honestly, by the end of the show, the Lupertazzi crew doesn't look any sharper than the Jersey guys, and I'm pretty sure that's intentional. Early on, the New York roster feels different. Carmine Sr. and Jr., Johnny Sack, Rusty, Angelo Gareppe, Doc. These guys look the part, talk the part, and carry themselves like actual big league mobsters. Compared to them, the Satriali's crew in tracksuits really does seem like a glorified crew punching above its weight.
Butch, how are you? Chili's not accepting visitors right now.
But then, the series winds down, and who's left running New York? Butch, the guy who seems like he literally fused with his house, and some other quiet dude in glasses. That's the heir to one of the 5 families? Come on. Butch looks, talks, and dresses like a standard issue enforcer. Nothing about him says capo, let alone boss.
But Carmine, bear in mind, he came onto my turf. He tried to recruit Maimo and Jan.
Even back when Carmine Sr. and Johnny Sack were talking about Vic the Appraiser,
Joey!
random guys were walking up to Carmine looking like average Joes. I never bought that Carmine would even acknowledge dudes who looked that ordinary.
See, things are trending downward. Used to be a guy got pinched, he took his prison job no matter what.
But maybe that's the point. By the end, both Jersey and New York have basically devolved into the same thing. A bunch of worn-out, small-time hoodlums fighting over whatever scraps are left. All that talk about honor, tradition, and distinction was always just mythology anyway. The whole show keeps poking at this idea that everyone believes their own bullshit. Jersey loves pretending it's a real family. New York loves pretending it's nobler and more sophisticated. And in truth, they're all just fat crooks from the Northeast.
3 was like, what happened?
Where does Tony rank Goodfellas?
And that whole old school mafia honor idea, total Godfather fantasy that the old guys pushed because it made them look classy. The reality was always way closer to Goodfellas. And honestly, Goodfellas is still Henry Hill polishing his own legend. The Sopranos is the first big mafia story that really commits to showing most of these guys as morons, which is exactly what you see when you read about the real mafia.
Yeah, I know. It's all changing.
Let me see what I can do.
At the end of the day, one of the show's quiet themes is that the mafia is dying. Business is drying up, membership is shrinking, and everyone, New York included, is scrambling for whatever's left.
Most of the guys in this life, there's no fucking honor. Forget your enemies, you can't even depend on your friends.
So it's really no surprise that by the finale, both families look the same. Not honorable, not distinguished, not powerful. Just a bunch of aging tough guys pretending they're still in the golden era while everything around them collapses.
Gloria Trillo, she gave me a ride home that day. You know what Jerry told me about her? She died.
Honestly, the whole Gloria's mystery man drove her to off herself angle was never meant to be some big Sopranos conspiracy. The guy was just saying she had terrible luck with men in general. People with Gloria's issues tend to get pulled into toxic, short-lived flings. Very passionate for a minute, then everything goes sideways. Believe me, I speak from experience.
Gloria Trillo. Oh, Carmela Soprano. You sure you don't mind?
And yeah, every now and then someone on the internet swears she dated Patsy after that test drive. But that's exactly the kind of rumor that should not leave whatever basement it was invented in. That's some ugly stuff. Dock the remote back on the charging station and walk away.
I'm having a really bad couple of weeks. Shit with my family and...
The truth is, Gloria was great. But Tony only likes listening to his own problems. The moment someone else starts unloading theirs, forget it. He's out the door.
Upward.
How's Gloria Trillo? She's still hanging around?
So there was never going to be some heroic revenge arc where Tony hunts down the man who ruined Gloria. In Tony's world, everyone's misery only counts if he's the one narrating it. Amo fo, or whatever. Look, in the long run, Richie Aprile practically did Beansy a favor. Yeah, sure, he paralyzed him, minor detail.
Welcome to Miami.
But after the injury, the guy ends up living in Miami.
You ever talk to Beansy down there in Florida?
Now and then.
Does he ever run into Carmine's son down there in Miami?
Rolling around surrounded by beautiful women who clearly aren't there to discuss literature. Had Richie not smashed him with the car and turned him into a hood ornament, Beansy would probably still be back in Jersey sweating over a pizza oven. So if the choices are, option A, healthy, upright, and running a pizza joint till I drop, or option B, wheelchair-bound in Miami, flanked by women who seem extremely dedicated to assisting him, honestly, I might take option B.
You know, he may never walk again.
Never say never.
And the irony is, this whole argument sounds exactly like something Richie himself would say.
You should build him a ramp on his house.
You can practically hear him. I did that mook a favor putting him in a wheelchair. But that's where the ignorance shows.
Beansy Gator owed him major dollars for 10 years.
It wasn't just a pizza place Beansy had. He was washing money, probably had loans out on the street, the whole thing. And Jersey's not some wasteland devoid of women. Believe it or not, they exist there too, even if you don't find the local stock exotic enough. And let's be real.
I might not be able to wipe my own ass, you know that?
Being surrounded by beautiful women doesn't mean much when you can't feel anything below the chest. If the man can't control his bowels or bladder, odds are he's not exactly feeling his own dick either. But sure, keep talking like you've got all the answers. It doesn't take a genius to see that The Sopranos isn't exactly overflowing with honorable men. Still, most of the major characters, barring Richie who's just human asbestos, have something in them you can sympathize with. Chris has his addiction, Polly has his mom issues, and so on. But out of all the guys in Tony's inner circle, I've always felt the most for Silvio. There's just something about him. He's genuinely loyal, he clearly cares about people in his orbit, and he was practically raised in this life. He never really had a chance to be anything else, so he tried to play the role the best he could.
Sil, I didn't hear from you.
And yet, despite all that, he ends up in a coma, pulled under by the same life he kept trying to keep afloat.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
Every time he wanted out, the life dragged him back in like some mobster quicksand. But then you have to actually look at what he was loyal to.
And let's give a big welcome to Tracy.
This is a guy who ran the Bada Bing, not exactly a parish bake sale. Women got trapped in debt, pushed around, pimped out, and Sil was the one enforcing it.
Get up, you stubborn fuck, please.
The violence wasn't just business. Sometimes he took to it a little too comfortably, especially when it came to women. Tracy, Adriana, those moments show just how cold he could be. You can make a strong case that he's one of the worst people on the show, which is honestly saying something. So I end up stuck in this weird place. I feel for Sil because he's one of the few who seems loyal and steady, yet when you actually sit with the details,
Tony Soprano, obviously, plus Silvio Dante.
That loyalty mainly serves a brutal system he helps uphold. Without Tony, he'd be nothing, And with Tony, he becomes, well, what he becomes. It's a tragic loop, but a self-made one. That's why, for me, Silvio ends up being both one of the most sympathetic and one of the biggest pieces of shit on the show. A paradox that The Sopranos excels at exposing. If Melfi ever heard that Tony got whacked, I don't think she'd break down sobbing, but she wouldn't be made of stone either.
He crashes into this huge truck.
She gives her patients everything she's got, and when something truly awful happens to one of them, it hits her hard. So yes, she'd feel it. Not dramatic weeping, but those quiet, heavy emotions that stay with you for a while. At the same time, Tony being killed in a mob hit would also be this grim validation of her decision to cut him loose. In a sick way, it would confirm that he really was the albatross around her neck. Though apparently, I once called him an albacore, which is what happens when you take common expressions for granted. But you get the idea. Knowing Melfi, she'd feel genuinely bad that he was murdered so soon after she dropped him.
I'm thinking about taking my patient back.
She'd probably carry guilt, especially remembering Tony's last words to her. What you're doing is immoral. And the fact that his son had just attempted suicide. She walked away at the moment he needed her most.
Apparently, the talking cure actually helps them become better criminals.
Even if she convinced herself the research justified it. Honestly, it always felt like she finally caved to Elliot's pressure after he humiliated her in front of their little circle of elitist colleagues.
Essentially, it concludes that talk therapy, while not only being useless with sociopaths,
and the study became the perfect excuse. And because she's Melfi, I could even see her reaching out to Carmela sometime down the line. Not immediately, but once the shock settled.
Carmela? Oh, Dr. Melfi, hi, how are you?
And no, she didn't secretly murder Tony while being blackmailed by the Vipers. Though I admit it's a fun plot twist to imagine. If you liked this kind of character autopsy, hit subscribe. I do these all the time.